Hey, this is Jeremy Hahn, creator of Image Comics, The Realm, and The Beauty. I'm here with Southern Fried Geekery Podcast.
1, 2, 3.
Still can't believe we got everything packed in the back of this car.
Yeah, it's full all the way to the trunk.
Yeah.
Trunk stuffed, the back window stuffed. We're stuffed. We got stuff between our legs. Yeah.
I wonder if there's going to be snow left back there when we get to it.
Maybe. There might be snow still on the top of the car.
I
Probably not.
totally hit Roger with a snowball before we left this morning. He didn't like it.
Yeah, I probably should have hit Stephanie, but she wouldn't have liked it either.
What, you want to do this podcast?
Yeah, let's do a podcast.
All right. Hey, everybody. This is Southern Fried Geekery episode 14, and we are recording this live on the back road somewhere in between Chicago and Arkansas, and all that entails, which is basically just a bunch of fields, some fucking trees, and not much else. It's been a gorgeous day to drive so far. We got off to a little rocky start. Woke up in Chicago this morning to about an inch of snow on the ground, but it was pretty. We played in it for a hot second. By that I mean we pulled our luggage through it and cussed it as much as we could. But we've been at C2E2 all weekend. As always, I'm Caleb.
I'm Craig.
And we took off, left on, what was it, early Wednesday morning?
Yeah, Wednesday morning and got in Wednesday evening. And
Went to the con on Friday, and then I went and saw a whole bunch of Chicago and had a really good time. We somehow convinced our collective spouses into letting us take a road trip together to a comic book convention, and I'm not sure what witchcraft went into that, but we pulled it off.
Yeah, no problems at all. They were behind us, and they're with us at the show, and I think they both had a good time.
I think so, and our significant others are not necessarily into the nerd culture as much as we are, but they hung in there like champs as we explored. We met some pretty amazing people. We saw some pretty amazing art and just enjoyed a huge con.
Yeah, I mean, it was fantastic. It was great to get to meet some of the people that were there. Some people like Colin Bunn that have, kind of been, as a geek or, just somebody knew I would nerd out when I met them, and then also meeting, or getting to see some of our old friends like Justin Jordan and Jeremy Hahn,
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Now, this was the biggest con that you've ever been to, right?
Yeah, previous to this, the biggest one I'd been to was Dallas Fan Expo last year, which is a big con, don't get me wrong, but it's not nearly on the same size as C2E2.
Interestingly enough, it was this weekend as well in Dallas.
Yeah, it actually was. We sent, I sent Matt to that one with a book of mine to get some Star Wars signatures in it. He got them for me.
It's nice to have minions, isn't it?
It is, and Matt doesn't know it, but he is a minion.
So this was... I've been to New York before. I've done New York Comic-Con, and it may be slightly bigger, but this is the biggest one I've been to in a long time, and at least since I've started collecting in my collection of art, and since I've known so many creators personally, this has been the biggest one I've gotten to go see, and to see a bunch of our friends, like you said, that we've known before, both in and out of the comics world. My cousin Toby, hi Toby, lives in Chicago. He was kind enough to show us around a little bit, take us out to eat. Our friend Wendi Freeman from the Double Page Spread podcast hooked us up with a bunch of stuff. We walked around the con floor together and met folks, and did a little bit of business. So that was fun. Interestingly enough, one of the cool things about the shows like C2E2 is they announce things while we're there. It's when they choose to announce a whole lot of the news that comes out.
That's right.
And so while we were there, we got to hear some of those things get announced and see them and speak to the creators that they were announced about. Do you want to jump into that, or you want me to start?
Yeah, let's read some news, man.
All right, man. But it looks like in the Amazing Spider-Man number 800, they're bringing the black suit back. And it may be sticking around for a little bit, which is kind of interesting. Now, this is the suit that a little bit of disparity over. They argue it may have came out in Secret Wars number 8, or its first appearance was, what was the other issue? I'm drawing a blank.
I'm trying to think, because one of them's actually the first appearance of the black suit, and the other's the the first acknowledgement of it being a symbiote. That's
the birth of the symbiote.
yeah.
Well, I've got Secret Wars #8, and I know you do too, so I'm going to go with that one because I want more money for it.
Yeah, I can't remember what the other one is off the top of my head, and that's really bugging me. But this is the first time we've seen a lot of the black suit since before Brand New Day and all of that, when he kind of went nuts because Kingpin had Aunt May killed.
Yeah.
And it was some of the best stories ever told, and then they decided to retcon it, which was sad and unfortunate, but glad to see the black suit coming back for a while. Hopefully we will get that same mentality with him for a while, where there's a reason why he's in the black suit.
I hope so, and they say it's going to stick around for a little bit, which is really cool. I think that was like way back in 1984 when that came out.
Yeah, that seems about right.
I've always loved the black suit. I think it's sleek. I think it looks good. I like it on him better than some of the other variant suits that he's had. Obviously, the classic suits, you can't beat that. But you look at some of his suits, like the Iron Spider suit.
I like the Iron Spider suit. The Iron Spider and the black suit are two of my favorite alternates. And I love the classic as long as it doesn't have the webbing underneath. I always thought that was just silly.
Oh, you don't like the Kirby webbing?
Nah, I mean, I love Kirby, but I've never been a big fan of the webbing.
Interesting. And now Spider-Man's your dude, right?
Yeah, Spider-Man's, one of my top two in comic book superheroes. Him and Batman, I would have, for the most part, I'd probably go back and forth on which one's the top one. But
yeah. So, also, stepping away from comics for a little bit, Why the Last Man got an FX pilot order. Why the Last Man is one of our favorite graphic series.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to do another trade paperback show here before too long because we had a lot of positive response, but I would almost be willing to bet one of us will be talking about Why the Last Man. It is some of the best work you're ever going to read. If you haven't read it, do yourself a favor, get out, read Why the Last Man. Be prepared for what the show's going to show you. I don't know how close it'll follow. I'm really looking forward to this. I know Fox gets a lot of crap, but I'm looking forward to it for the television aspect, and any good comic books on TV is good to me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. FX has put out some good shows. I mean, they've had shows like Sons of Anarchy that, there's been some quality stuff come out of FX. Yeah. If you want to read Why the Last Man, obviously you can get that in collected trade form. I've got the hardcovers that came out in 5 volumes. Probably goes without saying, but it's Brian K. Vaughan and Pia Guerrera who created that thing and made it what it was. Follows the story of the last living human man on Earth. Guy wakes up and he and his pet monkey Ampersand.
They're actually the only 2 males left on the planet. It was all females except for those 2.
Yeah, any sentient creature type thing was dead. Our good friend Jim Zub had a big announcement at C2E2 this week. Jim Zub from his work on the Avengers as of late. The Uncanny Avengers was a great run of his. He's right now doing the weekly crossover Avengers thing with Al Ewing and Mark Waid. The No Surrender, that's been phenomenal. Like, it's extremely, extremely good.
Yeah, I talked to him a little bit at the show. He told me that he just turned in the last book to be published, and whatever you think is going to happen, he said it ain't happening. You'll definitely be surprised.
Now, you haven't read this past week's issue, but I have, and you're in for a treat, man.
Yeah, I have not had a chance to read any books this week because of vacation.
Because we've been busy.
And yeah, he seemed pretty excited about it. Whenever a creator is that excited about a book, you should probably be as well.
Absolutely. And Jim's just a class act. I follow him on social media. You know how we talk about fans sometimes get a little crazy in the way that they approach creators, and you've got online trolls. Well, Jim takes that and he flips the script on them. He politely takes their trollish type questions and he explains to them with a little bit of expertise why things are done the way they're done. And he takes a level of respect to the trolling that you don't see from a lot of other creators, which is an interesting take on it. Not saying that everyone should take that route or that everyone deserves to have that route taken, but he does it, and it's really neat to watch him just break stuff down. The man, he not only does he know his industry, but he knows the connections to a wide variety of other industries. It's really neat.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a really good guy. Like I said, I had a chance to talk to him. This will probably lead into the news that you're about to bring up, but he was a little disappointed with me because I had a Dungeons & Dragons shirt on, and it said, choose your weapon wisely, and it had a bunch of dice, and he really dug my shirt. And well, did you read my Dungeons and Dragons book? And I hadn't.
Yeah.
And so, I didn't lie to him, but I definitely need to pick that up and give it a read.
Yeah, he did a short stint on it, and if you listen to our past role-playing episodes, everybody should know how much you love D&D. But it does lead into the news that he's in. He is writing Dungeons and Dragons. He's got a long stint in that. He's a player, but he is going to be doing a Rick and Morty and Dungeons and Dragons crossover, which is interesting for me because I love Dungeons and Dragons. I love Jim Zub, but I don't have a lot of love for Rick and Morty.
It's okay to be wrong.
That I accept that. I do. That's fine. But this might actually get me to read a Rick and Morty comic.
Well, there you go.
Which could be a new deal. But yeah, that was announced this week, and it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
He's getting some help with from Patrick Rothfuss, and it's going to be coming out from IDW and Oni Press. It's a crossover, and I love it when companies do that, man, because that's when you get books like Batman and the Predator. You get books like the one I've been just absolutely loving, Batman and the Shadow. And not just in connection with Batman, but all around you get these really, really cool crossovers. You get another one, Batman and the Ninja Turtles, the Freddie Williams book that's been coming out. It's just dope. I love it when the companies.
Yeah, Green Lantern and Planet of the Apes. I mean, there's been some really great ones out there for sure. So it's always fun to see the crossovers and read the crossovers and kind of get that vibe. What would happen if these people were in this universe? So we'll get to see how Rick and Morty deal with swords and sorcery and Dungeons and Dragons. And
I hope they get ate by a mimic.
I wouldn't be sad.
I wouldn't be sad either. Like forever.
That's not going to happen.
I can win. I want Morty to win, man. I want Rick to get just lost. Like everybody loves Rick, and they shouldn't.
No, I mean Rick's a horrible person, and it drives the creators just absolutely crazy. But Rick's a horrible person. But Morty is, he's Morty. He's basically protection for Rick, is what he is.
He's the softest creature on Earth.
Yeah, maybe.
So some big things happened for a not so big publisher this weekend too. We've talked about Valiant a little bit. It's not in the top 3 publishers, not even necessarily in the top 5, but they're putting out a really, really, really good world. They're bringing you stuff like Bloodshot. They're bringing you stuff like Archer and Armstrong. A whole ton of stuff. Ninjak or Ninja K, depending on how they want to run that and look at it.
Ninjak is what I've always heard, but I may be wrong.
Well, no, it is Ninjak, but the backstory, like they gave him kind of like a Weapon X backstory.
Oh,
so
okay. I've never read any Valiant, so
it's good stuff. I haven't read their most recent stuff, but like they're just crushing it. They're killing it. Anyway, they announced today that Joe Ilyich is going to be their new executive editor. And that's kind of a big deal. Joe is an African-American man. It's always nice to see a person of color get that position of respect, and it's well earned.
Valiant, I believe, in the process of being sold, maybe sold, not sure yet, but I've always only heard positive things, especially in the current continuity. If you have the room on your reading schedule, pick up some Valiant books and see where it goes.
Absolutely. He's a great guy. I'm excited to see what he does. He knows this world. He knows the ins and outs of it. Everything from the really bloody stuff, like I said, Bloodshot, to some of the more lighthearted stuff like Faith, which is violent, but it also has a kind of a softer side, a sweet side to it.
Well, the thing about Faith is they actually took a female superhero and made her plus size. Kind of created a little bit of stir when it first happened, but seems to be working really well.
Yeah, and she's a killer thing, and it's always nice to see. I mean, seriously, we get these figures in comics that are all, beyond supermodel-esque. Everybody's, rail thin. The men are all hyper-muscular, or they're twinkish. I like to say they're the little bitty, frail, cute, blonde guys. But it's nice to see those, people of other body types respectably shown.
Absolutely. It was a very positive thing. It's been a good thing. People are ridiculous. So, it's nice to see real-looking people also be able to be superheroes.
And she's a badass.
And she's a badass.
And she can fly.
And she can fly.
And she punches hard.
I haven't read the book, so I'm just going to keep repeating.
I'm just going to keep saying things. Let's see here. We talked about Spider-Man getting his black suit back in 800, which, landmark issue. There's lots of stuff going on with it. And this is something we kind of saw coming with the announcement of some stuff last week. But Jim Chung is not on that book anymore. He is out. Jim Chung has switched over to do some work for DC, which is not nearly as big a news as Bendis moving, but it's still really big news.
Well, we knew it was coming because we knew that, there was a new creative team coming on to Spider-Man. So I'm glad to see him going to DC because, I love DC too.
You know who's replacing him? Nick Bradshaw.
Yeah, you threw me for a loop. I did not know it was Nick Bradshaw.
Yeah, Nick Bradshaw's taken over Jim Chung's parts for that issue. Star Trek fans, we've got some news for you that you may or may not have heard. If you have been a fan of such shows like Hell on Wheels, or if you watch the latest or the only iteration of the Inhumans from Marvel, you know the acting prowess and acting skills of Mr. Anson Mount. And he is joining the Star Trek team. He is going to show up as Captain of the Enterprise here very shortly. He is a good actor. He's got a very rugged Southern charm to him.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch Inhumans, so I can't talk about his acting ability, but as far as Star Trek, I really need to get caught up on that series, especially if they're bringing Enterprise in.
Yeah, he's playing Christopher Pike.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Yeah, so I did watch Inhumans. Not the best, but also not the worst. I didn't understand their IMAX outing for the first episode, or the first 2 episodes, but they did maybe the best with what they could budgetarily. Lockjaw was dope. Karnak was kind of awesome. I did not dig the whole shaving of Medusa's head thing. Spoiler warnings for anybody who hasn't seen that. But
yeah, I didn't watch it, but I don't understand why they would shave Medusa's head.
Because budgets. Because apparently it's hard to have.
Power is in her hair.
Yeah, and she was powerless the entire time because budgets.
Yeah, see, that's why I didn't watch Inhumans. Yeah, one more piece of news that did not come out of C2E2, but last night was the new premiere of the new Solo trailer. Should be the last one. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I'm extremely excited to get home and give that a view, and I'll holler at you guys next week and tell you what I think on our podcast.
So, just a little bit of pre-gaming on that. What are you wanting out of this trailer? Like, what do you want to see in this trailer that you haven't seen before?
I'd kind of like to see some definitiveness on where they're going with the movie, but, it really doesn't matter. Trailers are just there to get you pumped up, and I think that's what it'll do, and, I'm excited for the movie. I'm excited to see this trailer, and yeah.
I think it's going to be cool. I haven't watched either. I actually saw it pop up on my news feed on my social medias a little bit ago, but didn't get a chance to really dive into it and watch it or anything.
Well, I was going to watch it this morning, but somebody was doing their Spanish homework, and I didn't want to bother them.
I wasn't doing homework. I was taking a test.
Yeah.
Tests are more important than homework.
Yeah, that's right.
I want to be
Either
somebody.
way, I wasn't going to bother you.
I'm trying to better myself.
Okay. Well,
I did homework on vacation, Craig.
You did? And it took a test?
Well, let's get on with the show a little bit and get away from news, and let's talk about what we really want to talk about. Let's talk about some C2E2.
Yeah.
Like we said, this was the biggest show that you've ever been to. It's one of the biggest shows I've ever been to, at least, especially in terms of diving more into the comics world than I was when I went to New York. What were you wanting out of this? What were you wanting at C2E2? What were you kind of expecting? What were you looking for? Where were you going with this?
I was looking to not have a kidney stone, and that did not happen.
Oh, but you found one, right?
Yeah, I found a kidney stone at C2E2, and still I'm fighting that kidney stone.
Yeah, my buddy's been suffering this entire trip, but he's he's been a badass. He's still got out and done things and been a rock star, but he has not felt good.
So seriously,
no pun intended by rock star.
Yeah, I didn't bring any books to get signed because of it being a big show and us traveling as far as we did to get to it. Next time I definitely will, but I just kind of wanted to immerse myself with some of these larger creators and just get a chance to talk to them, maybe buy some stuff off their tables to get signed, and that's exactly what I did. I went to Colin Bunn's table and, just completely geeked out with him. One thing that I got from him is if any of you are Six Gun fans, make sure you've got Six Gun completed and read before you read the new book coming out for Free Comic Book Day. because it takes place in the Six Gun world. Then we'll have spoilers if you haven't finished. So
Nice, really.
yeah, make sure you're caught up. Got to finally meet Justin Jordan in person. That was a big deal for me. Big fan of his. If you followed the show at all, I know you and Justin have been friends for a long time, but
We have, yeah.
yeah,
He's a really good guy.
yeah, absolutely, just a big teddy bear of a guy. And
Yeah, well, I'm gonna shamelessly plug something for Justin real quick. Now, you actually already own a lot of stuff from him having been signed by him.
yeah, I am a Patreon of his, signed up for that, and every month I get every trade, floppy, hardback book, anything that the publishers give him to use to promote himself out at shows or whatever. He signs it, puts it in the mail, and sends it to me. It's pretty great.
That's badass, dude.
Yeah.
Honestly, you could not ask for a better reward for supporting an independent contractor.
It's a typed up note signed by him, signed by him in it that tells you what's going on, and it's pretty cool. You get a little newsletter, you get all the signed books. So what it really means is, because I'm not going to wait till his books come in to read them, I get 2 copies of everything that Justin Jordan's doing, because I buy about everything that he's doing anyway. So.
Well, I'm also a member of his Patreon, and you can find that on Patreon. You just go look for it. I signed up for the tier that basically, I'm a creative writer. That's kind of my thing. It's what I'm one of my things. But I am enrolled, quote unquote, in his Justin Jordan School of Comics. So one thing he does is if you hit a certain tier, he posts all of his scripts on there, and so you can kind of see what's going on in those books, even if you're not reading them. But you can treat it like a workshop. You can dissect it. You can see how he's talking to the artist. You can see how he's breaking down things. It's really, really cool. So if you've got a few spare bucks a month, you're interested in how comics work, you're interested in how you can make these things, go on patreon.com and you can click on Justin's thing and follow him. It's tiered, so depending on what you want to do is depending on what you get, but super, super cool. Who else did you get to hang out with a little bit?
Yeah, I went and saw Jeremy Hahn. He's a guy I've met 3-4 times. He's super excited to see us when we walked up. Recognizes us. He wanted me to win the ticket. I was really sad I didn't win the ticket.
Now, when you say ticket, explain that a little bit.
So in the hardback for Volume 1 for the Realm, they have 2 golden tickets out there. And if you get one of the golden tickets, you get a piece of original art from the Realm. There's just some, they're doing some giveaways that go with it, and it would have been a lot of fun, but I'm glad somebody else is getting it. Love Jeremy, love his books, just a super good guy. It's just always good to catch up with these guys that you've made acquaintances with and, friendships with over time, so.
Awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Well, unlike you, I brought a duffel bag full of books to get signed.
Yeah.
From a variety of people. I'm a huge Riley Rossmo fan, so I brought all my stuff from Riley to get signed. Obviously, I brought some stuff to get signed by Justin. Just kind of bounced around, got to see a lot of people, got to get most of the stuff I wanted signed. Was able to get Kyle Starks to sign all of my Rock Candy Mountain stuff. Now, Kyle Starks also does the Rick and Morty book, the ongoing, and so if you're interested in that book, you should definitely swing out to the internet and check that out and get that.
Yeah, I actually got him to sign the Rick and Morty book too. So
very cool. Which now you can get the full set of his other book, the one I was just talking about, Rock Candy Mountain. You can get that in trade form. It's kind of a hobo adventure. So imagine a 1920s train hopping hobo tale set to kind of a Faustian theme. Really good, really fun art.
It's a great book.
Yeah, he wrote and drew it. So I was able to get him to sign that. Yeah, got to see Cullen Bunn. Walked up to Tyler Crook's table, who was right beside him. That's the they do Harrow County together. It's one of my favorite horror books of all time. The art is just gorgeous. Almost came very close to picking up a piece of original art from Tyler Crook, which he works in mostly watercolors. So it was just absolutely gorgeous. But I didn't. I refrained. I did not pick up a piece from Tyler Crook because I opted to pick up another piece of OA.
Yeah? Who did you get some OA from?
I bought a page out of Batman and the Shadow #3 from Mr. Riley Rossmo.
Yeah?
Yeah,
that make you tingly in all the right places.
I kind of got goosebumps just talking about it.
Yeah.
It's absolutely gorgeous. It's my first piece by Riley Rossmo. He had his table set up with, he is one of Felix Liu's artists from Felix Comic Art. That is his art rep, so was able to go up to the table, chit-chat with Felix a little bit. Riley was there working on some commissions and stuff. We walked over and I flipped through a couple of his pages. Had some outstanding pages from everything from his work on Batman to his new book that he's doing that we spoke about a little bit ago. Just tons of stuff. He was sitting right next to Daniel Warren Johnson. It was a veritable who's who of some of the top tier comic book artists working in the industry today that we just got to schmooze with a little bit and walk around and talk to, and that was nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, if you haven't been to one of these big cons, you really should treat yourself if you're a comic fan. Get out there, go to one of them, just go walk around. I know my wife Stephanie, she's saw a couple of books she liked. We stopped and got her some books.
They had cats.
Yeah, they were cat heroes, and he got very excited telling us about his books.
She got very excited listening to him tell about the books.
She did. She stopped dead in her tracks to go look at those books. So even if you're a spouse of a comic book fan, if you're going to these big cons, go. You never know what you're going to see that's going to stop and draw your attention. She saw some monsters over in the merchandise section, made out of cloth with button eyes, and we went and got a couple of monsters.
They are extremely cute. They're hand
cute.
sewn. They're ridiculously colorful. They're adorable. I don't know who's going to play with them. Her or the cats.
Both. Well, I'll try and get a picture of them and get them on our Instagram account so you guys can see the cats.
Yeah,
The monsters.
Now, the cats and the monsters?
Yeah, we probably should put a picture of the cats on the show because
they're in almost every episode.
Yeah, at least Orion is.
Now, I'm not the only one who brought home some art. Maybe not necessarily comic pieces, but just some amazing art. Why don't you tell us about them a little bit?
Yeah, so there's a gentleman there. His last name's Cozy. I can't think of his first name right at the moment. I'll get that information out there to you guys. But he does all of the art. Like if you go to Disneyland and you come off the ride, you see the posters with.
He's kind of the Alex Ross of Star Wars.
He really is. He does all of these posters that you can buy at Disneyland that are at the exits of the rides, the entrances to the rides, that sort of thing.
Just some heavily detailed, iconic images from the movies.
And he had a few pieces there, but two of them that he had in particular was a Princess Leia in her slave costume, and he had a Boba Fett. Now, these were prints on canvas. The originals are either hanging in George Lucas's home or at a museum, depending on time of year, if George Lucas has lent them out to a museum or not. But he only did 10 of each of these prints, so I picked up one of each of them.
One of each, and you said they're limited to 10. So, You own one of them. There are only 9 more in the world.
That's correct. I'm super excited about these things. Get them framed and get them put up in my office. It's going to be great.
Now, these are Gisele prints. I think I pronounced that right. But so what that means is these are actually so detailed that they mimic what the real painting looks like on the canvas, brush strokes and all. And they are that finely detailed and just absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Now, that wasn't the only Star Wars stuff you picked up. You also grabbed a trunk full of toys.
Yeah, so your cousin Toby, who we met this weekend, he's a great guy. It was so nice to meet you, Toby. He had a bunch of Star Wars toys that he was just kind of sitting in his closet. Knew I was a Star Wars fan, needed the room in his closet.
Now, these were from, like, the third prequel, right? Like, these were Jar Jar and just that kind of thing?
These are all vintage 1970s, 1980s Star Wars toys. Included a bunch of the play sets, Dagobah, 2 different Hoth, one from the Cantina, just the Ewoks set, Millennium Falcon, X-Wing, Darth Vader's TIE Fighter, a TIE Fighter, Land Speeder, Snow Speeder, 2 Tauntauns, a Dewback. Yeah, I was able to pick those up and help him out by cleaning out his closet and help me out by adding to my Star Wars.
Honestly,
collection.
it was God's work that you did, helping him get his closet emptied. You did the man a favor.
Yes, that's exactly what the whole reason I bought them was, to help him out.
It's just pure benevolence on your part.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
We almost could not. We were talking earlier about we're lucky we got the trunk closed. We
gosh.
packed a ton of stuff into this. You got a bunch of art. You got a bunch of toys. Mine was mainly just signature hunting, and I picked up some OAs. I got to sit down and hang out with Scotty Young for a little bit. That was really cool. My friend Wendi Freeman, who does the Double Page Spread podcast, she took me up to his booth, because she's got it like that. She walks up, gives Scotty a big old hug, and just introduces us, and we get to sit and talk a little bit about his work on I Hate Fairyland, some of the stuff that he's got coming up on Deadpool that he's going to be writing soon. I appreciated just chatting with him. He is the funniest human being that I may have ever met on the planet. I also was privileged enough to get to go sit down with Miss Mags Visaglio. I'm not really sure how to pronounce her last name very well, so forgive me. If you want to come on the show and fight me about it, you can. I'll probably lose that fight. She's got some work coming out. She's done she's done stuff from DC. She's got her own stuff coming out. I was also able to jump over and hang out with somebody who might be one of my new favorite humans on Earth, Miss T. Franklin. Now, T, you may not recognize her name, but the comics industry is blessed to have her working and to have her voice. She recently kickstarted her first big project. It's called Bingo Love. It's kind of taken the world, at least the comics world, by storm. It's a phenomenal story about two women in I believe it was the 50s. I haven't read it yet because I actually waited to buy my first copy from her. It's about two women who they were young in the 50s, maybe 40s, and they realized that they had feelings for each other, but things being what they were, and these are women of color, things being what they weren't allowed to see that relationship come to fruition. They weren't allowed to foster it. They were ripped apart and sent their separate ways, and they lived their separate lives and had their own things going on. Well, they find each other again in a nursing home, in an assisted living setting, playing bingo. And it's just, it's really cute, kind of lesbian grandma love, and it's freaking adorable. But I was able to sit down and speak with her for a long time, and what an amazing person.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to visit with her, but you were telling Stephanie about this back at our room, and just telling Stephanie the story, she broke into tears. She was, so I'm going to have to pick up this book. In fact, I've already ordered it so that we can get a copy for Stephanie to read, and then I'll read it afterward. I'm super excited to read this story. These are stories that need to be told in whatever format, whether it's a comic book story, whether it's literature, prose literature, whatever, movies. We need more positivity.
And she just radiates it, man.
Yeah.
She just really does. She absolutely radiates it.
Yeah, and she's a person of color, and it's just amazing. I'm so happy to see these things starting to get more and more exposure, as they should.
Yeah, it's a big book. So I don't know about you. There was so much to see and do, and we were only there for one day because of the deal. The deal we made with our spouses to convince them to let us take this trip. The rest of the time we spent in Chicago, but I was hoping to get to meet Jason Aaron, and that didn't happen. I also wanted to meet Amy Chu and get some stuff signed, and that didn't happen. But there's always next time. Amy has worked on some great books like Poison Ivy, The Circle of Life and Death. I really love what she does. Jason Aaron, if I have to tell you who he is, we need to go back and redo some things because you got some comic book learnings to do. The writer of Southern Bastards. He's going to start writing the Avengers with Ed McGuinness.
Been on Thor for 100 issues now, maybe.
Yeah, and has done amazing things with that entire canon.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. But when you get those names like that, the bigger names, that's when you get into, they only do signings at the Marvel table at a certain set of times. And that was unfortunate. I did run into Jordan D. White, though.
Yeah, nice.
Just kind of walking by. I noticed, I did not recognize him. I recognized his mustache, which was kind of funny. And I was like, hey, Jordan. He was like, hey, why are you calling me by my first name? And I was like, because I did. And he was like, well, that's okay. He was going horse, but he was walking around with Jerry Duggan. And that
nice.
was really cool.
Yeah, we missed out on some of the creators that were only at their tables for their publishers. I did not see Eric Powell. I didn't see the Albatross booth, but I would have liked to have met him. But it's a big con. There's lots of people there, and again, we had one day, and I only had part of one day because my kidney stone took me out of commission. But
Yeah.
Still, just overall an amazing experience, and definitely would do it again.
Absolutely. I think we absolutely should. So the rest of the time after we left there, we explored the city, the wonderful city of Chicago, which is something that you should do at least once in your life before you schlep off this mortal coil. What an incredible city. Gorgeous architecture, wonderful people. Did not have, I don't know if I can say we didn't have a single bad experience. We had an Uber driver almost yanked out of the car. But
Yeah, that guy probably deserved it too.
yeah, but other than that, it was not a bad experience at all. We did all kinds of craziness. Every single place we ate was just amazing. It didn't matter if it was a bar or just a little local breakfast joint to a sit down fine dining establishment. Everything on every level was just exquisite.
Yeah, we went. Speaking of eating, we went to Chicago Diner.
We did.
And we had about a 45-minute wait, and they have a back patio where you go sit to wait. And we walk in, and your cousin strikes up a conversation with a group of people sitting at a table, and who happens to be at that table?
It's Cullen Bunn hanging out with Tyler Crook, hanging out with a bunch of the Image guys. Just a little,
Just hanging out,
just chilling out with a table of comic book royalty. And my cousin Toby, who is not, he does not have a foot into the comic world. He just thought that these were actually, he thought it was a Chicago Diner is in Boys Town, which is, for give or take the gay part of town. It's kind of the gay district, the LGBT district in Chicago. So he was like, oh, there's just a table full of bears. Let me just joke with him a little bit. But they were bears, but they were also Image comic book insanely talented comic book royalty creator type bears. And as soon as I picked my jaw up off the floor, I went and said hi to Cullen and shook hands and all that thing, and just kind of left him alone to enjoy their night, because you don't want to completely fanboy out outside of the confines of a con. It's just not what you do. It's kind of like assaulting a celebrity. So we said hi, shook hands, and I should have sat on his lap is what I should have done.
Yeah, but here's the thing. And he tweeted you and told you should have pulled up a chair and sat with him. But the thing is that if I see generally any celebrity outside of like maybe Mark Hamill in public, which I would probably freak out.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to leave them alone and let them enjoy their dinner and their family and friends. Unless they're seemingly open to having people come and sign autographs and things like that. It's just, they have a right to their life outside of that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I wouldn't want people to interrupt my dinner with my husband if they knew me from something, if I ever were to be famous, which there's absolutely no reason I ever will be. So it's kind of a moot point. I don't even know I'm talking about it. So, I don't think there was a single downside to this con other than the fact that I wasn't there for the full extent. Also, unfortunately, with your kidney stone, it kind of canceled some plans that you and I had to go out with some friends that we've made online, some people that we've gotten to know through the 11 O'Clock Comics Facebook page. Our friend Chris Revenant threw a little get-together on Friday night, and all of the people who are in that little comics verse came out, and we all, we had some drinks, we had some laughter, some hot dogs out of a really badass hot dog machine.
Yeah, by we, you mean you and Roger.
Yeah.
Stephanie and I stayed back at the room while I kind of just laid there and cried in pain.
You were trying to give birth to an asteroid.
Yeah.
But yeah, Roger and I went with that, and, Stephen Wooder, again, just this entire crew of people were there, and, Chris, again, I shouted him out on our last episode, was kind enough to just do that, to open up his home, and it was wonderful. And those guys all went back and enjoyed the con. I've been enjoying seeing the different stuff that they've came out with and that they picked up at the show. We also got to meet some indie creators that were there, and that's always a big thing for me, is not just hitting the big tables and these big names. They need your support too, obviously, but going by the indie tables and meeting the people who are self-publishing their own books, the people who are putting their stuff out. I want to kind of highlight one. It's a publisher called King Bone Press. They've put out a line of comics. They're very small time, and they're extremely talented individuals. Their books they're very fun. They're all over the place, a number of genres. I stopped by their booth and spoke with them. Ray Wagner did a Scarlet Witch head bust for me.
Nice.
He's one of their artists. Just extremely nice group of people. You should go on kingbonepress.com. It's KINGBONEPRESS.com and look up their stuff. Maybe order some stuff from them because they're extremely talented guys. It's one of those things where their level of presence is not indicative of their level of quality. Their level of fame and notoriety is not indicative of their level of quality. Those guys are way more talented than would indicate by them being small, as is the case with a lot of small presses and a lot of independent comics creators. They're extreme. They just haven't gotten the spotlight yet.
So one really cool thing about this con is that they mix the small creators in with the big creators. You didn't have just like row after row of the smaller independent people trying to get a start separated from these, as Caleb puts it, comic book royalty. You had them right there in that same aisle. You know, we're walking down to go. I think we had just got there, and you had made a beeline to Scotty Young, and Stephanie and I were on our way to catch up, and this guy's holding up a sign, and I apologize. I'll get the information later. We're in the car, and I don't have access to his name and the name of the comic, but he's holding up a sign, and it looks like a speech bubble from a comic book. It says, "Ask me about my comics." So we stopped and we went over and asked him.
Yeah.
And, he said, astronaut, samurai. And I said, that's it. That's all you had to say. I'll buy a book. It's kind of cool for these guys because sometimes you go to these cons, at least the ones I've been to, and the smaller creators are separated from the bigger creators, and they don't get the exposure that they should, I guess.
They get kind of bumped down to the kids' table.
Well, because as you're walking through, you don't necessarily see them. Everybody's everybody's going to go see Tom King and Jason Aaron and Colin Bunn and Scotty Young and all these people, and they walk right past these guys. Take the time. There's some good books out there and these people are just trying to get a start in the industry.
Yeah, they're just looking for their break, man. You always got to support those guys. Yeah. And sometimes you find the best things there. Everybody starts off small
Cat
somewhere.
Heroes.
Yeah, Cat Heroes.
Hero Cats, I think, is the name of the book. Yeah.
There we go. Now, that was the one that Stephanie picked up. She was freaking out about the cats, right?
Yeah. And the guy told her all the stories. And, she was excited. And I think she started reading it already, actually.
Well, I think we would be remiss if we did not at least mention, and I say we'd be remiss because I don't want to get punched in the stomach by Jerry or Sean. There were also a ton of cosplayers there.
There were.
And they were intermingled throughout the crowd. Now, I will say this. I'm on record in the past saying I don't dislike cosplay. I do dislike when cosplayers come into Artist Alley with giant cosplays and stop in the middle of the aisle and take selfies, and they block artists and people trying to sell things and make their living. That does bother me. I will say this about C2E2. They did a very, very good job about giving the cosplayers their own space. They gave the cosplayers their own little kind of corner to go into and do the photo shoots and to take care of their business and do everything. The cosplayers there were very respectful of that, and so all the big cosplayers were kept out of their area. They were in the food courts and doing everything else, and so I just thought that was nice. It was refreshing. Honestly, it was an experience for me to go in there and get to look at the cosplays I wanted to look at without.
And there was some good cosplays.
There were some extremely good cosplays. One of my personal favorites was a guy dressed up like Shirtless Bear Fighter, which is a mini-series that came out from Image a while back. Extremely, extremely good. It's about a guy named Shirtless who was raised by bears, who also bear fights. It's hilarious. You should go to your local comic shop, find out where the trade is, pick it up. It's really fun. What did you see? What were some of your favorites?
So he was one of my favorites for sure, but also the Saga. There was somebody playing Marco and Alana.
Yeah.
a couple. It was great. Lots of them I didn't really recognize because it's in the manga and anime world that I don't necessarily know.
Yeah.
But still some really great costumes. They, as you said, they were respectful to what was going on in the show. The ones that were over in Artist Alley and so forth were over there to look at artwork and to talk to these people and maybe buy their stuff. Sometimes, as you said, just be respectful of what else is going on in the show. And I think there's definitely, I don't think there's definitely room for cosplay, for celebrities, so for
A little bit of
Artist
everything,
Edition, Artist Alley. There's rooms for all of this stuff at these conventions, especially the large ones. And just everybody be respectful of what everybody else is there for.
Kind of a mixed group of fandoms, kind of like what we do here at the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, I was really happy. I saw the most amazing Rogue and Cyclops cosplay.
I did not see that.
I was sitting there talking with Jim Zub. We were sitting there chit-chatting like we do, and all of a sudden he was like, "Oh, Caleb, hang on. I got to go take a picture with Rogue. It's always cool when I see characters that I write." And I want to know what that feels like someday to be sitting there and be like, "Oh, I write that character." But yeah, there was a couple, I think, they were there. She was Rogue. He was dressed up as Cyclops. Just really, really cool, great-looking costumes. It was kind of fantastic. There were, of course, as always, a plethora of Harley Quinn. There were there were herds of Spider-Man. There were Deadpools out the window, just wazoo.
Yeah.
Lots of people with the costumes that they don't make themselves, but they're just those little, I don't know what they're made out of, nylon, skin tight things. And if you're gonna do that, but please have the
Or some compression shorts.
good lord, that booty, just the booty.
And remember, it's okay to look. It's not okay to touch.
Absolutely, cosplay is not consent. Compression shorts, guys. We don't need to know unless you're gonna walk around with a ruler hanging off your belt. We don't need to know that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Wear compression shorts or dance shorts or something.
I mean, but also that booty though.
Sure.
Well,
anybody that knows my wife, Stephanie, she's very positive. She likes to give people positive reinforcement and tell them when they did good. I think every cosplayer there that she saw heard how great their costumes were.
probably. She's just this little bundle of energy.
She is.
It was really funny. Even though I was not with you guys through most of the con, I was off doing my own thing.
Yeah, we got split up at the beginning and kind of did our own things, but
Yeah,
it worked out well.
I got distracted by Scotty Young.
Yeah,
happens.
as people do.
Well, man, is there anything else regarding the con that we need to talk about? Anything else that happened while we were there? Anything else you saw that really drew your attention?
No, again, it was kind of a short day for me, unfortunately. We did get a lot of positive conversations with some of these creators where we're going to be able to get some interviews with them. The intent was to get some interviews while we were at the show. That just didn't happen for a lot of reasons.
Well, for obvious reasons. They're really, really busy. They're there to sell their products, to sell their art, to sell their stories. And it's not really fair in that setting to sit down and ask them, hey, take 15, 20 minutes out of your time. That is money. And we kind of thought that might happen going in, but we did line up some really cool stuff.
Well, again, we're used to a little bit more used to the smaller cons where they have some time to talk, and we thought we would be able to possibly get a couple, but we did get a lot of people that told us they would be willing to be on our show and support us and do interviews with us. So, got some stuff lined out from it.
Absolutely. It was a great networking experience.
It really was.
So as we said earlier, we left super early Wednesday morning, which means that, Craig and I both use a local comic shop. We both read tangible comics. We both get floppies. But that means that we weren't able to get our books and read, legally speaking, because they don't sell them on Tuesday, because that would be wrong. So that's obviously not what happened. So we don't have any books to talk about this week. Also, Jerry and Sean aren't with us. They are at home prepping for AnimeCon Arkansas, which is going to be next weekend. We are going to be there. We are doing a panel on Saturday. Sean is doing a panel, My Hero Academia panel on Sunday. if you're in Arkansas, if you're in the North Little Rock metro area, Central Arkansas, within the drive, if you're into anime and manga, you should absolutely show up. It's going to be a good time. I plan on being there trying to learn what this stuff is all about because, as I've said repeatedly, I'm fairly ignorant to the world of manga and anime. I don't know a lot about it. I don't read it. I don't watch it. I don't watch a lot of anything, really. But I'm going to be... It's going to be fun. It's going to be a learning experience for me.
It'll be a little bit different type of con than you're used to. Because they generally don't have a lot of the creators there. They have a lot of artists and things like that. So a lot of toys, things like that.
So come back next week. We're going to be talking about comics from this week, comics from next week. We are going to be going over some stuff that we've read when we finally sit down to do it. It's going to be a really good time. In the meantime, as always, get on Facebook, go to our Facebook page, join in the group. We're posting news. We're posting things that we love to talk about. You can always get a hold of us on Instagram and Twitter. It's the same handle, at SFG Podcast. If you want to talk to Craig and I, you can. We have R2, Jerry, and Sean. You can link to our personal pages from the bio section in Instagram and Twitter. You can email us any thoughts, comments, concerns, questions, anything that you want to know. You can email to us at southernfriedgeekery@gmail.com. And yeah, you should do that. Do all of those things.
Yeah.
I just want to point out that we're not driving while we're doing this. Or my husband's driving and his wife is navigating, and they have yet to get us lost.
Not your husband's wife, my wife.
Are we not all? Is that not what happened in Chicago? Did we not all get married?
Maybe. I don't know. Did that happen?
Are you not my sister husband?
Sure. I'm
okay
good with that.
So the sister husbands. So one thing we do have the ability to do is tell you about some stuff that's coming out next week that we're really excited about, and that we want to encourage you to go out and pick up. The Southern Fried Books of the Week. We're going to get a little bit ahead of ourselves.
If I can get the internet to work.
If we can get the internet to work, because we are, driving. I have not seen Civilization in like an hour and 20 minutes.
Yep.
What do people in Missouri do? We're in Missouri, right?
No, yes, we're in Arkansas now.
Oh, we're in Arkansas
yeah,
finally?
We're back in Arkansas.
Oh. What do
Yeah,
people in
I saw the
Arkansas do?
sign earlier. I don't know what people in Arkansas do for Civilization.
I'm guessing
if you get outside of Little Rock or Fayetteville, I have no idea.
I'm guessing it's the same thing that people in Missouri do, because I didn't
They
even know the
apparently don't
difference.
have internet.
Actually, sometimes that might be a good life.
Yeah, maybe. I can't get on the internet to do this.
Craig is having the utmost of internet problems.
Yep.
And that's sad. I am, however, not. I mean, I am, but not nearly to the extent that he is. So next week, get to your local comic shop and look for Domino #1 by Gail Simone and David Baldion. Domino has had her own series before. I think it was a mini series, but this is going to be an ongoing. Gail Simone is one of the most prolific writers in comics today. She's done everything from superhero comics to some of my favorite Conan books, to Red Sonja. She's worked for DC. She's worked for Dark Horse. She's worked for Marvel. She's done stuff from Image. She's done stuff for IDW. She's incredibly talented. David Baldion's art is nothing short of gorgeous. If you don't know anything about Domino, she is a mercenary. She is a mutant. She's in the Marvel world. She was created by the same guy who created Deadpool, Rob Liefeld. Created.
Nice to see you.
Gail Simone and Mr. Baldion are coming together to do a Domino book. It's going to be phenomenal. She is a mercenary whose mutant power allows her to distort probability and luck. And she's also incredibly beautiful. Nina Simone is her name. Or not Nina Simone. Nina Thurman is her name. My brain just took a shit when I found out that this was Arkansas and not Missouri.
Well,
I'm disappointed in my state now.
Well,
I expected better. Not really.
and I'm having a hard time finding the book, so I'm going to need a second. Because, that's apparently what happens when we do this in the back of the car.
Do you have a vast lumber experience doing things in the back of cars?
We'll leave that alone.
You're supposed to use your finger, Craig.
I am.
You gotta poke it.
In the back of the car?
In the back of the car.
Beauty 21 comes out next week.
Who's
Beauty
that by?
number 21, Jeremy Hahn and Nick Filardi. No, it's not. It's Jeremy Hahn and Jason Hurley. Nick Filardi's the cover artist on the...
Hey, he's still doing
Book cover,
smart
yeah.
on it.
So, Beauty 21 comes out. Great book. It's well worth your read. Been a fantastic series the whole way. If you don't know the story, I think we've talked about it before, but I'll give you a refresher. It's about STDs that make you beautiful.
Speaking of getting things in the back of cars.
Yeah, get an STD, make you beautiful, and then you die. And people actually want this STD because they want to be beautiful for the last, 2 years of their life. So
It's a story about the fickle nature of humanity.
yeah, absolutely. So pick that book up and enjoy it.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Avengers 688 comes out next week also. It's part 14 of the No Surrender stuff by Mark Waid, by Jim Zub, by Al Ewing. Aaron Kim Jacinto is doing some of the artwork on that. Pepe Larraz has been doing a killer job on it. It's a great time to be picking up comics, guys. Get out and support your local comic shops. There's not that many of them left, which is unfortunate, but, you should go support those guys. If not, buy them online. We always say, as long as you're paying for it, that's all that matters. Don't pirate it. Don't steal it, because if you truly love it, you'll pay for it. If not, then you won't, and you'll continue to watch the industry die, and we'll hate you forever, and wish bad things upon you.
Yes.
But in the meantime, we don't want to wish bad things upon you. We want to wish the greatest of things upon you. So come to our Facebook page, email us, tweet us, Facebook us, Insta, whatever us. And we'll see you guys back in Arkansas next week. Go forth and love some comics.